What up, loved ones? What it do? Spotty Young right here. You know where I'm from. Thank you for watching and thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to this channel right here, just hit the subscribe button real quick, man, and give it a like if you think it's cool, if you think it's real, you know what I mean? So, on this episode right now, I'm gonna share my experience doing time with the woods in California prison system. You know what I'm talking about? But first and foremost, I want to do a shout out to all the real ones, to all the real supporters out there, man. I've made a lot of new friends, and this YouTube made me reconnect with a lot of other people that I've lost in contact with. So thanks for this, and thanks to everyone. And yeah, I made some new friends, and some of them even went as far as helping me out with my job, with my real estate job, and going through Zoom meetings and webinars with my manager. I appreciate you guys, man. With words can't even express my appreciation. But yeah, I mean, later on down the line, we're gonna do some, hopefully some, hopefully soon. But yeah, so back to the subject, right? Yeah, man, doing time with the woods in the prison system, man, in California. Um, to those who don't know, to those who's been already been following me, they probably think that I'm just like picking on the white or something because I exposed one of the white boy, one of the woods. You know, uh, I had to do that. I had to expose them because he made a video about me and Big JD talking about bitches and punks. So think about it, man. Um, there's no other way to try to explain to everybody because not everyone would understand. But the closest thing from my explanation that I could say is that just imagine I have also a war veteran from, not sure if it was a Marine or forgot, but he was really out there. He sent me a message, man. He was really out there and he risked his life. He's seen his homies die. He was really at war. He was a real OG, in the civilians world and regular people. He risked his life. He was really out there, man. So it pissed him off to see that the other guys that wasn't really in there did nothing. Want to come back and they want to brag about, yeah, man, I was at war and I did this and I did that. Of course, it's gonna rub the real ones, like the one that direct messaged me on IG talking about he was really at war because he understands where I'm coming from and he can relate. And I never liked that kind of things, man. So that's my thing. People would say, "Well, why won't you do what he's doing? He's all about making money." I mean, I get it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna make some money. Everybody needs fucking money to eat, but I still believe in having integrity. And this is what I want. This is what I want to show everybody, that even though it's slow, you don't need to put somebody down to lift yourself up. I want to teach the opposite of the crab in the bucket mentality, man. That's for me. I want to show that there's another way. You don't have to be a crab in a bucket mentality. So that's my shit. That's the reason why I exposed that guy. And of course, because I don't like misrepresentation, frauds, even in the gang world. To those who understands, to those that are involved in the gang world, they're called a claimer or a poser, poser for the skaters. Imposters, fraud. Nobody likes those kinds. So that's the reason why I had to expose that guy. And yeah, of course, a lot of people are gonna hate me for it, but it is what it is. I appreciate, I embrace the truth along with the ugly truth. I embrace them both because they're the truth, nevertheless. You know what I'm talking about? So there you go. Hopefully, I shed some light. Moving on from that, I already met some white folks back in Silmar Juvenile Hall. Excuse me about the noise outside, man. Um, yeah, I remember this guy. I know his last name, but let's just call him Polar Bear. He was a big dude, man, in Silmar Juvenile Hall. This back in 2003, and this guy right here, he all of us are little kids. I mean, we're all little kids. This juvenile hall, but this guy is somehow bigger than everybody else because I don't know, man. He got the grown man beard. He had long hair, and then he was just a big kid. I think he was already like 18, but they still haven't sent him out yet, you know. And he was in there for murder. His crime partner, his co-defendant, was a Japanese. They both killed a freaking child molester, murdered them. So that was his story. And he liked me, I liked him, and we were cool. We were homies, man, you know. And I didn't care, man. As long as you're cool, you're cool. So, anywho, I don't know what ended up happening to that guy, Polar Bear. You know, he read a lot of books, and as soon as he always recommended a lot of books to me, like the Taipan, Shogun, Dean Koontz, Stephen King. He put me up in all those back in 2003 in Silver Juvenile Halls. And, you know, that guy he has a lot of cool stories, man. So, moving on to CYA. Um, yeah, a lot of people ask me, how come you don't talk about them, about the whites in CYA that much? Because they got it bad over there, man. Out of 20, maybe like two would only be gangbanging, man. And even those two guys, they would have a hard time. And those guys are like a real gang member from fucking IE Skinhead, you know? So, and the rest would be like a Sureño, a white Sureño, or a white Crip or Blood. And if you ask me, those people that are white, Crip, or Blood, that's active gang member, or a white Sureño, white from a Mexican Sureño gang. If you ask me, they have it even worse. Like because they have to, they're not. That's not their peoples. That's not their race. So they pretty much have to like, how do you say this? Like they have to prove themselves more. If you ask me, and yeah, you know, so I couldn't really say that much. They had it bad. They were really having a hard time. And even those two guys that I know, the Skinhead from IE, shit, they were having a hard time too in CYA. Because CYA is a bunch of kids, you know. But it's a whole different story in prison. And I used to chop it up with them. And even in YA, I know, oh boy, he was in my unit from Skinhead IE Skinhead. And yeah, they were lacing me up. I'm learning about them, uh, about the what the tattoo says, the A for the anarchist and stuff like that. You know, so they're I learned a lot from them, man. So pushing forward to prison, it's a whole different world. As I mentioned before in my Norteño video, I went to DVI Tracy on 2006. And the whites in the norte, they were at war, man. They were at war, and sometimes the police would, like I said, sometimes they'll make a mistake and open a door for a norte or white folk, and they take off on each other on sight, man. That's what happens when you're at war and shit. So you just gotta be ready, because at any given moment they can just open the door, you know. And then I went to Pelican Bay on Yard first. I was there for like a year, and yeah, they were there too. You know, what do you call this? But then when I moved to Ayard, Ayard was or is the better yard, because they have the main kitchen over there. They have the optical. There's a lot of it's a way better yard than B yard. Everybody knows in Pelican Bay, B yard's a fucked up yard, mostly locked down. Don't get me wrong, A yard lockdown too is still Pelican Bay, nevertheless, but they just had more program in there because they have the vocations in there, you know, and also the main kitchen where you cook all the food for the rest of the Pelican Bay. That's where they have it at. And so I'm doing a good program in Pelican Bay back in '06. So I ended up going to Ayard, Pelican Bay, and got myself into the optical. Remember I said before, to those who know, I finished optical. So anyways, yeah, man, what do you call this? Even I myself, I did business with them, with some of the whites in Pelican Bay, Ayard. I did business with them, and it was all good. Nothing, there was no problem. But a lot of the active other white, maybe like the high power ones, they consider Pelican Bay Ayard a freaking a no good yard, which is that's not their yard. That means for them, all the whites in there are no good, you know. And all the new white boys that was coming in, this was back in 2009, I believe, 2009. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I witnessed this. I witnessed in one of the in the dorm, in the sorry, in the pod, in the building. I believe it was 7 block. I witnessed it. There was a white boy coming in there, and there was a black folk just doing his showers, minding his own business, and getting water from the hot water in Pelican Bay. They have this fountain right there. So you know you get your little plastic bag, bring it into the freaking the hot water fountain or whatever and shit, or cold water. And he was just getting his water, and then the white boy came inside the building. He was still in his white jumpsuit, still fresh from the bus or whatever and shit. Took off on the black dude right away, and then because like I said, for some reason during that time, I don't know about now, but they don't consider the A yard a good yard for the white folks. So you know this correlates to my boy Nate Dogg's story, because even him, and this is what I mean about having morals, having integrity, having honor and shit. It's because Nate Dogg, I'm gonna use him as an example and shit. He was in Ayard with me in Pelican Bay, and I guess he was outside. He was in the yard or whatever. And according from his story, it's always better when somebody else tells a story, you know, like hopefully somebody else tells my story. But anyway, anywho, yeah. So he was walking in the yard or whatever, and he noticed a white boy coming in fresh. I believe like a new white boy coming in, and he knows the politic that he knows. A lot of the high power white boy, they don't consider a yard a good yard for them, because they didn't have nothing over there, man. They didn't have a place to sit. They don't have, I don't know. So they were taking off on everybody so that they won't have to be in the yard, man. So knowing that, what Nate Dogg did was he took off on the freaking white boy first, so that pretty much took one for the team, man, because that white boy is gonna eventually take off on his people, on the blacks, on any of the blacks. He probably his friend or whatever, I don't know. So he voluntarily took off on the white, knowing that he was already in A yard, the good yard. He's gonna be sent to B yard, the fucked up bullshit yard. He did it anyways. That's what you call taking one for the team, or having some kind of like morals and shit, or moral code according from our world. I can't speak on everybody else, but I'm just sharing my experience from my point of view. You know what I'm talking about? So that's what Nate Dogg did. And long story short, I was programming good. I didn't have no 115s, or I'm sorry, I had 115s for some window covers and some destruction of property or whatever. They're petty over there, but I appealed it, whatever, right? Anywho, so I ended up going to Kern Valley State Prison, Ayard, 2010. And here you go, sure enough, not even like a month later, the Uso homies and the freaking the natives, for some reason nobody knows the whole story or why or the details, but they had to bust a grape and they fucking smashed on the white boys, man. They took off on them, man. So we ended up going to war. They got us on lockdown, and sometimes the police would play with it. Sometimes they would release an Asian or a freaking a white boy, and then somehow supposedly make mistake, and they're just trying to test the water, trying to see what's up, if the war will continue. But every time they test us, the war continues, and there was no stopping it. So what's gonna end up happening is every 3 months they would release people. If they choose your cell, then you ain't got no choice. But Pretty much, they took all the whites, a whole new shipload of whites. They took it to other prisons, and then us that was there during that war, they took us and slowly but surely, one by one, start shipping us out, so they can get a whole new load set of white boys and whole new set load of the homies, you know. And that was my experience, you know. And what do you call this? I ended up going to Calipatria, Calipat, and from then on, it was just wild right there. It's not a 180, but still, it's still a level 4. Nevertheless, you know, so almost everybody still over there still got all day, meaning life in prison. So it's a wild place, man, but more freedom, more privileges, bigger, a lot more other shit to do. Plus, it's Calipata is closer to LA. I was getting visits over there, so it was cool. It was cool. They were doing their own thing. Everybody doing their own thing over there, and then I shipped. Where did I go? I ended up going to out of state, and that's the reason. It was just a coincidence. My story in Oklahoma matches the guy that I exposed, man. It just happened like that, you know. Yeah, sure, I'm gonna get a lot of freaking racist folks watching my shit and fucking hating on me, but it's all good. At least you're watching it, you know what I'm talking about. And like I said, I understand that you can't eat honor, you can't eat integrity. Those are for stupid people, whatever you gotta say, but this is my shit, you know what I'm talking about. And I want to show everybody, even though it's slow, just have some patience, man. Eventually you'll get there without having to fucking doing that crab in the bucket mentality, man. That shit boo boo, man. You didn't gotta do all that, man. Don't fucking sell your soul for money, dog. And that's what it is. So that's what I don't like. I never like frauds, imposters, posers for the freaking skaters world. You know, I used to be a skater myself, you know. So claimers in the gang world, those are claimers. If you're not even from the hood, you're not even from that gang, but you just say you're from there, you're from that, you call the claimer. Nobody likes those kind, man. So this is where we're coming from. To those who don't understand, man, that's the reason why me, Big JD, and everybody else. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, you know, we know you're gonna watch it, but hey, it is what it is. We don't like those people. But anywho, that's my little story and my little experience with the woods. I can't get into details about the Aryan Brotherhood and the Nazi low riders and the skinheads and what's the difference, because I never been to a Pelican Bay shoe or a Corcoran shoe, so I don't know about them. I don't even know about the BGF and them, you know. And even if I did, that's a whole different subject. Anywho, thank you for watching, man. I appreciate everybody. So say what you mean and mean what you say, homeboy, because real recognize real. Out of here.